Hey everyone, Allison here again, and this is the next part of the hip stretch series. Just some bite-sized videos if you have a few minutes to start or end or take a break from your day, just to get a little bit of movement and maybe check in with your mobility or what feels good, and just take a break, especially from those of us who are seated all the time, even though these are somewhat seated. It's just moving in a different way than we're used to, and just stepping away from the stagnancy of maybe sitting in your car or sitting at a desk or in front of your computer or whatnot. So hope you enjoy these. If you do, please like and subscribe below. I'm always open to comments in the comment section if there's something you'd like to see or modification maybe that I haven't shown. So anyways, we're just gonna do a few simple kneeling hip stretches today. The first one you will definitely recognize, but I brought a few props just in case for modifications. This first one, we're going to be standing on our knees. So if it's uncomfortable for you, I have two mats here. If that's not enough padding, you can roll back the mat for a little bit of extra cushioning. You can roll up an edge of a blanket or a towel or whatnot, and just provide a little cushioning. And if this just simply doesn't work, it's uncomfortable on your knees, you can go ahead to one of the other seated stretch videos, and I'll be doing some supine hip stretches also, which is completely on your back, supinely face up. So anyways, if this works for you, go ahead. And I like to put my two fists to kind of measure about hips distance. You can have your feet flexed or toes flat on the ground. Just kind of wake up the hips for a minute, bringing some movement. You can maybe do some circles. If it doesn't feel good to go up and down, you can just simply do these standing knee hip circles. If it does feel good, go ahead and come down, kneeling, and then back up, reaching up to the sky, exhaling down. You just get used to that. Bring your arms up on an inhale. Just do that a few times just to kind of bring some movement and some circulation. I love hip circles. I do them like in line at the grocery store or whenever I'm waiting around at the airport. It's just not like our normal movement a lot of the times. So anyways, so this first one you will definitely recognize, I'm sure, from any kind of exercise. It's a hip flexor stretch. And so I'm going to go ahead and plant. We'll start with the right foot and bringing the left knee back. And again, you can fold the mat under back here for extra cushioning or use a pad, pillow, whatnot. And so planting the 5 toes, you can lift and spread and plug them back into the mat. Again, the foot can be flexed, or toes can be flexed back here, or top of the foot flush with the mat. Sitting up tall, rounding the shoulders up, back, and down, or excuse me, rolling them. And see what it feels like. This is our neutral, and we'll start to come forward. And it doesn't have to be super far. Just feel, see if you feel this beginning of a stretch in this foot hip flexor. Hands can stay on the hips. If you want to bring the arms up overhead, you can as well. And pelvis is kind of tucked under slightly. Belly button in towards the spine, sitting up, or torso is long, gaze is straight ahead. So again, arms can be up overhead. You can cactus the arms. It feels good. Get an added chest opener, shoulder opener in the process. You can clasp the hands behind you and use the weight, kind of pulling the fists, the wrists down to help open up the chest. If you need a little more support, you can not press on the knee, but on the thigh here and kind of press backwards. Sometimes that counter stretch can help you to kind of sit up taller here as well. So wherever you're at, you can sink a little deeper. Coming back up. And we'll go ahead and lengthen this front leg. And if the wider your stance is, the more support you have. So if you feel a little wobbly, being like right in line here, you can go ahead and bring it out a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and bend into that. So it's a little bit wider stance here. And just play with that going back and forth. And again, if it's too much on the standing knee, you can add a little more padding, or just simply don't stay there as long. Very nice. We'll come back up. So this time we'll go ahead and bring the right leg out to the side. What's called hip gait. And so it can feel kind of awkward at first. The toes are pointing out. Really opens up this adductor area. You can even take a bend this way just to kind of get situated. The pelvis is still facing forward. If it helps to put your hands on your hips, and you can kind of feel the front of your hip bones here facing forward. Again, rolling the shoulders back up and down. As this feels totally bizarre and just doesn't feel good on your knee, you can go ahead and bring the outside of the foot in line here, and toes are pointed forward. But even just that movement of the external rotation here in the hip, bring a little bit of mobility to the hip, warm up that synovial fluid, the fluid that flows around our joints. Sometimes, especially in the morning, it can be kind of solid like butter. You think of butter in a cold room, and as you warm it up, it starts to melt and things can move around a little bit more easily. Now, if you would like, you can bring the arms into it, up overhead, and come over towards the foot. I like to do it with, that's really good. And again, nothing should ever give you pain that we do in these videos. So if it does not feel really good, then please back off, try something different, modify, or just skip it. Coming back to center. You can go arch over to the other side as well, breathing into the side body here, opening that front of the right hip. And you could stay longer than I am too. You can always pause the video or come back to it. I'm just kind of moving through it at a faster pace, just so I can get you the information. And bringing the knees back in. If you want to pause for a moment, because we need to rest. And then we will come to the other side. So this time, sitting up tall on the knees. You want to use the fist. You can even put a block. Either the skinnier way, that feels good for stability. Or you could put it the wider way. And sometimes the action of squeezing of the block helps. Heel, come back up. And sitting back on the heels. Inhaling up. And back on the heels. And coming back up. This time we will put the last foot forward. Take a moment to set up your stance. I'm going to fold one of my mats over for a little extra cushioning. Get situated here. Make sure both hips are facing forward. We want this knee or the top of the thigh parallel with the mat to start. And so growing long out of the torso. And we'll start to come forward. Any amount. So chest is still lifted, gaze is still forward. If you like to use blocks to support you here as well, you can. And if you do want to come a little deeper, you can put them on the lower setting. But again, chest is lifted. The movement is kind of coming forward more than bending over. But you can stay up here as well. You can prop your hands up on the top of the thigh. Again, staying away from hanging out with your hands on the knee, putting pressure on that joint. You can use your arms up. Reaching up out of the torso. Practicing the arms, opening that front body, opening the front of the shoulders, the chest and clavicle area, taking a deep breath. You can do a slight back bend if you like. You can clasp the arms around you, maybe intertwining the fingers the opposite way if you did it on the other side. Letting the weight of the hands pull, the chest open. On hips, and just play with what feels good. And again, I feel like a broken record, but one side may be drastically different from the other. One day it might feel drastically different from the other. So just listen to your body no matter where you're at, and make sure again you're not causing yourself any pain or discomfort. We'll bring this back here. And we're going to open up this left leg to the other side. So first we will come forward and come back here. You notice how I'm kind of out at an angle. I have a little bit more space than we were before. You can straighten this front leg as well. If you'd like to come down, that could be really nice on the glutes. I think I showed you that on the other side, but again, listening to your body, you can come over with the front leg extended. Opening up the hamstrings, opening up those glutes. And when that feels good, come up. We'll bring it out to the side. So again, start with the toes pointing out if that feels all right. And again, the action of the hip is still coming forward. Like these hip points in front, they're like headlights facing forward. If it doesn't feel good, you can go ahead and parallel the foot this way. But wherever you're at, out to the side, you're sitting up tall. Stretching up out of the waist, shoulders away from the ears, chest is lifted, and bringing the arms up overhead if you'd like. You'll lean in towards that extended leg. You can let the hand fall here, arching over this way. Play with the foot. Rival. You don't want this like completely locked out, like rigid. You don't want to, you can have like a micro little bend in the knees that's not locked out or like overextended. Coming to the other side, arching up over, opening this left hip. The action, it's almost like you're leaning back, but it's actually keeping in this plane. So our tendency is to want to come forward. Reaching up overhead. Letting it feel good. And coming back. And bringing this back in. It has one more series I'd like to show you. It is not for everyone. So if this doesn't work for you, please don't do it. Or, you know, if you one side or the other, like work on one side and not the other. We're going to go ahead and sit down in between the knees for this first part. You can sit on a block. And so the shins are like shins outside. Truck passed by. And so again, same action as the rest of them are sitting up tall. you kind of get used to this where the tops of the feet are on the floor. And then if you can, take away the block so that you're seated. I don't know if you remember being a kid, we would like sit like this for hours and play games and stuff like that. Not quite there today, but if this does not feel good, you can always keep the block there. You could sit on a cushion, or I even have a rolled up bolster. If you have something like this or a rolled up towel, you can put that between your heels and your glutes. And then I'm going to release this right leg forward. So I'm sitting up tall. And again, the legs are together. The thigh or the calf, excuse me, is just outside, upturned here. And it's right along the side of my body. It's not coming out to the side here. Foot, extended leg, the right foot is flexed up. And I'm going to go ahead and start to come back. And maybe this is plenty intense. This feels good. And again, really pay attention. If you start to feel pain, come back up. Come out of it, try something different. But if this feels great and you want to come back, you can come down onto forearms. Maybe you feel an adjustment there. You can come all the way back down onto your back. And you could even, if you feel comfortable on your back, you can clasp opposite elbows. Breathe into that front body, breathe into that hip flexor, hamstring, quads, great quad stretch. And stay as long or as little as you like. Up to your forearms, back up here. Bring this left leg out to meet the right, give them a little shake, windshield wiper. And come to the other side. So this is the right knee. Again, these thighs are touching. The calf here is just turned out parallel to the thigh. And sitting up tall. Again, checking in. Does the right side feel okay? Maybe the left side felt great and the right didn't. Then you can feel the flesh. Buttocks away from the sit bone sometimes helps you feel more stable. And then coming back any amount, whatever feels good. Either planting the palms. I've got the fingers facing forward here. You can come down to forearms. That feels good. And let the head go back and just stay right here. Or you can come all the way down onto the back. If it feels good, you can clasp opposite elbows. If you start to feel that bended knee come up off the mat, that's a signal as well to come back up to one of the other positions. Because you do want it connected with the mat all the way from shoulders to the knee. Come back up slowly. You can come back in stages. And bringing feet to meet each other up front, give them a shake. And if you're really feeling open, that felt really great, you're super happy about that, and you can come down on both knees. And I like to start again from kneeling into it, but you can do it from sitting as well, just so I can make sure that my calves are in alignment here. And sitting down. And again, with both knees, it might be totally different. Maybe this is great. You know, it's also that stretch for the top of the ankles can be intense for some people, can feel really good. It could feel not so good. And again, the various stages, you can come down onto your forearms, leaning back. You can come all the way back down to your back. And clasping the elbows overhead. Or just stay wherever feels good in this moment. And as you're ready to come out, and push yourself back up to seated. Want to come forward. swing the legs around. Again, give it a little shake. If you want to do a quick forward bend, kind of counteract that as well. So play with those in your own time or come back to this video and again, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Allison. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this and leave comments in the section below. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you're thinking about this and if you have any requests for future things that you'd like to see. All right, thanks so much. Have a great day.